Hello, 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 coaches and leaders. We are going to do something interesting today. Dr. Chris Jones is back on with me. Say hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Chris is going to be co-hosting with me. Chris, tell everyone about yourself if they have not listened to the tinkly sounds of your voice in other episodes.
The tinkly sounds. Chris Jones, I'm super proud to get the privilege of serving as the executive director for the Virginia Association for Teaching, Learning, and Leading, VATLL. We were formerly known as VASCD, established in 1968. We've been around the block for a few days. I'm nobody special. I just get to chat with Becca about some really cool things. She asks great questions, and we get to talk about them.
Yeah.
So here we are.
So Chris and I have done some co-hosted episodes earlier. I'll put them in the show notes. They were really kind of unique. It wasn't guest. It wasn't like I was interviewing. We just chit-chatted about stuff and I'd spring some topics on him and we'd have a conversation. So today we're gonna have a series, a 3 episode series where we're gonna debate um a few topics around coaching and leadership and the tension and the gray area in them. And this is within my commitment to really debunk that there is one right way of doing things in coaching and leadership. We can lean into some models or different frameworks, but at the end of the day, it is rare that there's actually one right way to do something. And so, sitting in that gray area and the tension, we're going to talk today. Chris and I have no idea how we feel about the topic. So it's going to be really exciting. And what I love about Chris and why I invited you to do this, Chris, is that you and I are really we feel really free to disagree with the other person and push each other professionally. I know I certainly learn a lot from you, and so I'm excited to like chat about these topics.
Yeah, it's definitely reciprocal. You move me off my spot, unlike not too many people move me off my spot. So cheers.
In other words, I tell him he's wrong sometimes.
Wait, you just said there's no wait, you said there's no right way. You didn't say there's
I
no
know, I
there is
know.
no wrong way. Wait a minute. Is that the same thing as there is no right way?
I
Two
feel is
different
the
things.
opposite. No, I think the opposite isn't true. We could have a whole debate about this. There's no one
Is
right
there
way
a
to do
right
it,
way
but
versus a wrong
I
way?
think there are harmful ways. I do think there are harmful ways, but outside of right and wrong, which I actually think bringing morality into coaching and leadership is a mistake as well. But my point is I do think there are helpful and harmful ways of leading and coaching, right? Okay, so we on the screen, if you are watching this on YouTube, you're going to see a timer. Our goal is that we debate only for 10 minutes and then we're going to have some music that goes on and lets us know we need to be done. So before I set the timer, the
There,
first top
is there really going to be music?
yeah, it's like a kind of Oscar ending
Okay.
music. It's just it's a few seconds. It's very exciting
All
though.
right. It's
It's
good.
very
I'm
exciting.
I'm excited to hear the music.
The first topic we are going to talk about is can too much empathy hinder decisive leadership? Kind of empathy versus decision, action. Okay. So that's our first topic. And I kind of just want to frame this. We see leaders paralyzed because they care so much. And we also see leaders who move fast and leave people behind. I have no idea how Chris feels. He has no idea how I feel about this. So we are going to share our thoughts and debate, again, sitting in that gray area of there's no one right answer. We're going to actually probably leave this conversation with more questions than answers. Are you ready, Chris?
I am ready.
Okay, let's go. What are your
All right.
thoughts?
Okay, so the timer has started. So I think two things. I like the way you described it, the tension between care and action. I don't think that those two things are mutually exclusive, but I want to address the question that you asked.
Mhm.
Can too much empathy hinder decisive leadership? So I think it would take 10 minutes to just unpack the question
Yeah.
and from a study of words standpoint to really think about what that means. My first step in leadership, my very first value is four words: listen to your people. And so what happens in that sentence of listen to your people is there can be so much input that you're paralyzed to make a decision. And so through empathy, we are really trying to understand the experience of our people. And I don't know if I agree with too much empathy. I don't ever think that there's too much empathy. I don't think we can run out of empathy. It's one of those things that can forever exist if we're willing to take the perspective of another and understand the experiences that are happening, and then attach to that emotion that they feel as they're experiencing it. But I do think listen to your people, build consensus through a shared visioning process, in which case there's not just so much input and so much information that you become paralyzed in the process to make a decision. But when a decision is made, it is the best decision for the sake of the organization, and it is one that will garner the most commitment from your people to carry out that decision. We've talked about before about that point of which you bring the people in on the decision, where we
Mhm.
talk about buy-in. If you bring people in on the decision after you've made it, you're forever swimming upstream trying to get buy-in. However, if you bring people in long before the decision is made, you're building and working towards commitment. And it starts with empathy. So although I don't think that there's a such thing as too much empathy, it can be paralyzing if you're not patient enough to understand that when you use that empathic experience to get to a place of shared vision and shared decision making, and that becomes the system and the culture and the way of doing things, then it can lead to a leader just being like, well, I don't know what to decide because I can't figure out what the people want.
My thoughts are, I agree. I love your four sentence like listening. I love that you brought that up, right? Because empathy starts with listening. It's not just listening, it's how we listen, right? And what are we listening for? And I think we can utilize our empathy, our compassion to understand where people are coming from to then make decisions. So I don't think it hinders decisions. I think it can inform how we make decisions, but not all of it, right? Because as leaders, we have a point of view, right? This like bird's eye view that most often teachers don't have, right? So we actually have more information, more input than they do. And so listening for what they're dealing with, and I've talked a lot about understanding people's unmet needs, listening for where people are stuck, what are they complaining about, right? Because complaints are helpful. Complaints are
Okay.
helpful. They have gold in them. They let us know what people's unmet needs are. What are their frustrations? What do they need support in? If we listen for that, we can actually make decisions that support what they need and not in spite of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think there are times when decisions have to be made without the input of others?
I do. I do. I think sometimes a leader has a point of view that others just don't, has information that others don't. And sometimes when there is a clear path, or sometimes like my boss is making me do something, like and right, and they're telling me to do something, a decision has to be made about how it's done, but I could also get input on that. I do. I
Yeah.
think there are some decisions that leaders have to make without the input
Yeah.
of others.
I think there's so much talk about a decisive leader. Like if you bring a problem to a leader, the leader has the answer right then and
Hmm.
there. I think a leader who's able to make decisions at that snap judgment, that on the spot, I need a quick decision. I need this to be now. We can't wait. We don't have time for input. I think that those decisions that don't first garner the will of the people or the desire of the people, or the unmet needs of the people, um, those have the greater chance of unintended consequences.
Hmm.
But I would also say that a leader who has taken the time to
Yeah.
deeply understand his or her people, to really understand their unmet needs or their
Hmm.
desires or where their values lie, is much better positioned to
Hmm.
when they have to make that decision where I don't have time to get everyone's input on this because I got to make this decision now. I've got
Hmm.
two things to say about that. But that leader has already done the front end work
Hmm.
to kind
Yeah.
of understand his or her people where,
Hmm.
okay, when I make this decision, I know that I'm making it in the best interest of my people because we've built this over time. I would also say that a leader who's put in a position to have to make a snap judgment or a quick decision without having a chance to get input or to garner feedback
Yeah.
on what are the consequences if I make this decision. Hey, can you look at this and give me your feedback? Can you look at this
Hmm.
and give me your feedback? A leader who puts themselves in a position where they can't do that, they've got to make a decision without being able to do that. I also think there's something very wrong with that because the leader is put in a position where they have to react to a situation as opposed to putting themselves in a position to be able to respond to a position with enough time
Hmm.
to get to to get the input from the people, to get the feedback of what those consequences would be. There's Wayne Gretzky, hockey player, one of the greatest hockey players of all time. He had a quote. He said, I forget what he was responding to. He said, "It's easy. I go to where the puck is going to be, not where the puck currently is."
Hmm.
And so if we skate to where the puck is going to be, then we can position ourselves and our people so that we're making decisions that are in their best interest.
The thing I want to say about this is sometimes decisions, sometimes getting feedback from sometimes teachers don't have enough background knowledge
Yeah.
for the decision to make the best decision. And I'm thinking about a couple situations. One is thinking about what teachers should be evaluated on, or what we consider good teaching in our school, right? One school, there was a principal that literally created the rubric for teacher observations together with his staff. I was like, this is brilliant. I love this, right? Because the staff came with the shared understanding and knowledge of what they considered great instruction.
Yeah.
There's another school where the staff had never had were able to teach however they wanted to teach for decades, right? And the world has changed, right? We've shifted from a teacher-centered classroom to more student-centered learning, right? And the staff had not had PD on that. And to shift their thinking around that, they had to do something different, right? This is building efficacy through experience. And so he had to make a decision. Hey, we are going to change the way we're teaching, and I'm going to have you experience that so you can shift your thinking. And maybe later down the road, they could talk about making a rubric together. But he had to make that decision first. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think that's the role of the leader. The role of the leader is to be able to predict where the puck is going to be and then position his or her people to be able to deal with that. I do agree that you have to harvest from fertile ground. Is
Mhm.
that good?
That is
Is
good.
that
I'm
good?
very
We
impressed.
we have to harvest from fertile ground. And in order to get the ground fertile, there are a couple of things that need to happen. We first need to find out where our people are coming from and meet them where they are. For some of our educators, they can imagine the change and go with it. And for many, the vast majority of our teachers, they have to see the change in action
Hmm.
in,
Yeah.
in another context or a context similar to theirs before they can actually absorb it and say, okay, I can make that happen. I can do that. So a leader who tills the ground and makes it fertile will be able to harvest from that, but trying to harvest from unfertile ground, I can definitely see. But that I do think that's the leader's position to know where the puck's going, to go back to that Wayne Gretzky quote.
Yeah, exactly. And building knowledge, skills, mindsets, right? For us to make decisions from that. We are doing great on time.
So
Good.
did we answer the question? So we both agreed that there's no such thing as too much empathy. Oh, here's the time.
I wanted you to hear the music.
Yeah,
Um,
I love it.
the did we answer the question? I honestly like I don't want to answer the question.
Yeah.
I don't want to answer the question. I want us to sit in the gray area of what this is, the back and forth. to wrap this up, when I was getting my master's degree in organizational leadership and learning, one of the classes I took was called ethical leadership. And ethical leadership, I was like, oh, they're going to tell me like black and white. Ethical leadership is literally sitting in the
The gray area.
paradox
Yeah.
of
Yep.
ethics. It's paradoxical in nature. And my mind was blown. I was like, yes, 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 this makes so much. I have like chills even talking about this.
Yeah.
There's so many paradoxes in leadership, and we need to shift the way we talk about it. Like it's this or it's that. This is good, or and saying things like the truth is, it's like, is it? Is it always the truth? So yeah, I don't think we should answer it. I think we should just sit in the gray area.
Yeah. Well, I love what you described it as, the tension between care and action, like to really help us understand that it is a tension, that both can be true. There's no right or wrong. There's best and most effective.
Mhm.
And I think that's where we can land.
And I think it's situational leadership. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for joining me. We're gonna those listening, join us
We
in a
gotta we
couple
gotta say
weeks.
goodbye before we
We
hit the
we
stop button.
we do. We do. We have to say goodbye, and I hope everyone joins us in 2 weeks for our next debate. We're going to talk about, is resistance healthy?
And I'll be wearing the exact same thing.
Got to get you new outfits, Chris.